Compact crossovers are big business in America. So if an automaker really wants to make it big here in the States, they have to produce a crossover that's not just good, it's great. With that, I bring you the 2018 Alfa Romeo Stelvio TI Sport all-wheel drive.
Let's start with the engine. The Stelvio is powered by an all-aluminum 2-liter direct-injected turbo engine with 280 horsepower and 306 pound-feet of torque. Alfa claims it is good for 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds and a top speed of 144 miles per hour. It's connected through an 8-speed automatic transmission to Alfa's Q4 all-wheel drive system, which is standard on all models. Q4 all-wheel drive channels up to 60% of engine torque to the front axle. Weight distribution is an even 50-50, which should make this a balanced drive through the corners. If you want to tow, you're looking at a 3,000-pound max capacity. Of course, one reason crossovers are so popular is because of their cargo capacity. Open the power liftgate and you'll find that the Stelvio can carry up to 18.5 cubic feet of cargo with the second row up. Fold it down and that expands to 56.5. Now, if you compare that to the Audi SQ5's 60.4 total cubic feet of cargo area, you'll see the Alfa is certainly the less practical of the two. The second row can seat a full-size adult, but with 31.9 inches of legroom, it's not going to be good for long trips. The Audi SQ5 again boasts 37.8 inches, a significant improvement. Even the fun-to-drive and smaller Acura RDX has up to 38.3 inches to work with. The Stelvio is perhaps not the best choice if you want to remain friends. Numbers are fine, but Italian cars have never had much regard for the practical. To see why, we need to move up to the main cabin.
Here we are inside the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, and overall, the impression, this is a very unique interior. It doesn't look like anything else on the market, and that's kind of hard to do these days because really all these crossovers are starting to blur together. So it's nice to see that Alfa Romeo not only has created an exterior that looks unique, their interior is very Alfa as well. Let's go ahead and turn it on. There's no power there. There's no power here. Oh, it's on the steering wheel. The drive system here is very much like BMW. We get a joystick, and the joystick, I go forward for reverse, which engages the world's smallest rear view camera. I mean, really, seriously, the Nissan Rogue, which costs $30,000, has a bigger screen than that. That's ridiculous. Moving on. Going to drive, I can go over to manual mode and use the stick to shift between gears, or I can use these really sweet paddle shifters. That means that as I'm turning, these stay where I left them. I'm not going to be like looking for them around the wheel. They're right there, which is how I personally like it. Now, let's talk about this infotainment system. It's pretty horrible. Now, honestly, I'm not going to fluff that up at all. It's dreck. It's really small. I mean, everybody's making bigger and bigger displays. This is the bigger display on the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, and it's still tiny. It is widescreen, but it doesn't use any of that space, at least not effectively. Let's, for example, go to media. I can connect a device. Now, I'm going to go ahead and connect my iPhone, and you'll notice something that I'm not going to be thrilled by here. No CarPlay or Android Auto. They say it's coming, but unless it's here, I wouldn't put my faith in it. I can go to my library and I can search or browse by track, which is fine. When I reviewed the Giulia, I had a lot of comments say you can just write on the top of the dial. You don't have to jog it around, because I was complaining that navigating the system was really clunky. Well, I hate to break this to you, but this doesn't do jack. No, honestly, am I missing something here? It's not doing anything, and there's nothing to enable it to do anything. So no, it doesn't have handwriting recognition. The navigation system actually works. It's just that every other competitor in this space has like fancy interface systems, and if they don't, they at least have CarPlay, so you can just use Siri, or even Android Auto, you can just use Hey Google. But not here. Now, it does have voice commands, and they are predictably awful. Navigate to nearest POI, Starbucks. Processing.
Stockman, Texas, United States of America.
Now
do you want to start route guidance?
that wasn't even close. Yeah, so as one can expect, the voice commands on in-car, still horrible. Now, one thing that's not horrible is this gauge cluster. I actually really like it. It has TAC on the left, speedo on the right, very clear to read, and it even has a nice digital display in the middle. Now, that digital display, it gives me 3 screen options. Currently, I'm in dynamic mode, so it's showing me speedo, trip, and a little dot. Well, the dot happens to be a G meter, which is cool. It's not so cool is that it doesn't actually tell me what the data is. As it is, it's just a little dancing ball that is entertaining but doesn't actually give me any useful information. Speaking of dynamic, this vehicle does have 3 drive modes. It has D, which is the sportiest setting, dynamic. We also have N, which is normal, and the third setting, which is A. Now, when I switch to that, the car goes green. So as you might expect, yes, it is the green or eco setting. A stands for advanced, because of course it does. So long as you stick to normal or advanced mode and you drive rather gingerly, you're looking at about 22 miles to the gallon city and 28 on the freeway, which is right in there with other vehicles in this class. Of course, in dynamic mode, yeah, all bets are off. You're winding up that turbo, you're also using a lot of gas, but that's okay. Now, moving on to interior. Now, people who watch me regularly know that I'm a little bit of a stickler for some of the materials. And in this case, it's a hot mess. It really is. This looks like it's straight out of a 1990s Kia. These plastic surrounds, they just look awful, honestly. These dials, they look not so great, but you know, they're passable. This big dial, it kind of feels a little cheap. These buttons are a little small, but if you actually own this vehicle, you would get used to that pretty easily. I do like that they put rubber surrounds and actual little metal bits on here, so when you touch them, they feel good. So the touch points are all really nice and upscale. However, my eyes, they are not treated to things that look upscale. However, this metal piece is quite nice. This looks nice. This looks, eh. The steering wheel is fantastic. It's leather wrapped. It's got some really nice little details on it. And it integrates all of these functions like adaptive cruise control, lane detection, even hill descent control should I ever need it. I should also mention this vehicle does have collision detection and mitigation, so it will prevent us from running into anybody should we not pay attention to the car in front of us. Let's start the driving portion of the review with who would buy an Alfa Stelvio and why? Well, the Alfa Stelvio is really for somebody who wants something different, who wants to be unique, who doesn't want to get a BMW X5 or a Porsche Macan or even an Audi Q5. It's for somebody who says, I'm a little bit different, I want something special. And that something special is the slightly weird but beautifully designed Alfa Stelvio. Driving the Alfa Stelvio feels like something special, which is kind of funny to say. It's one of those unmeasurable things that just goes, you know, this feels good, this feels right. When doing this review, please keep in mind this is the middle member of the Stelvio family. This is the Sport. It has the inline turbo 4 that puts out 280 horsepower and 306 pound-feet of torque, but there's also a faster Stelvio coming, and it should put out more than 500 horsepower. It'll basically be the Stelvio version of the Giulia Quadrifoglio, which is an amazing car. Let's go ahead and put it into dynamic mode, and we're in drive. Let's go ahead and paddle shift it. We'll go down 4,000 RPM and drop it, and ooh. Oh, you hear those shifts? Those are fast. I mean, really, those are lightning fast shifts. So the suspension is a little bit on the soft side. I'm getting a little bit of body roll on the more extreme corners. But keep in mind, this is the middle member of the Stelvio family. If you want uber sport suspension, that's what the Quadrifoglio is when it comes out later this year. But this one's really nice. This is no softer than that SQ5 from Audi that I just drove. In fact, I think this one feels a little sportier, even though it has less horsepower, which is interesting. So to make this a real sporty car, it needs to have at least one more feature, and that would probably be launch control, right? Well, the Stelvio has it. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. Come to a complete stop. We put the car into D mode, brake, gas. It stages at 35 and go. Whoa! Oh! Do I like the Stelvio? Yes, I do. So in the Audi SQ5 review, I asked the question, would you buy that or would you buy the Stelvio? The Stelvio being, of course, the much more exotic looking for the category. And I said that you would buy the SQ5 because of the way it drove over the Stelvio's flashier looks. Well, I might have to change my opinion there because this Stelvio is really fun to drive. I mean, this car is really fun to drive. So even though I really like the Stelvio, it's not perfect. The brake, I want them to be more linear. It's really difficult to kind of feel where that brake is, and it goes anywhere from super soft, and then you have to like put the brakes on a little bit quicker because you're coming up on your stop, or they really grab really hard. It's hard to get that toe in the right position every single time. Granted, in time you would get used to it, but it's not ideal. A linear brake pedal is always better. The infotainment system is not good, just flat out not good. It has all the features that you want in an infotainment system, but it just doesn't go that extra mile. It doesn't have CarPlay. The backup camera is ridiculously small. There's no surround view camera, which is something I really like. Although it does have collision mitigation and parking radars, which are nice features to have. So overall, the Alfa Stelvio is clearly a car that is just quirky enough to be really interesting, yet still really fun to drive. I may not want to own a car like this, but I would certainly lease it. You know, it's often said when speaking amongst other car guys, especially older ones, that everybody who considers themselves a car guy or girl should own an Alfa at least once in their life. It may not be the most reliable car, it may not be the best built car, but it'll be a car that you will love. And this Alfa Romeo Stelvio, I honestly love this car. I really love it. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. This has been my first look at the 2018 Alfa Romeo Stelvio TI Sport all-wheel drive. It is a fantastic little compact crossover that certainly has its quirks, and it's not all brilliant, but what it does get right, it does extraordinarily well.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe right here to catch all our new videos.